There are a few advantages on a motorcycle that we have to protect our safety. This week we'll talk about one of the most important advantages we have on a motorcycle, and we'll also hear from MCrider member who used it to his advantage to avoid a really bad situation. Hey, my name's Kevin, and I release a weekly video here on MCrider focused on road skills or road strategy to help you become a better rider. Become a member of MCrider and get access to even more tools to help you stay sharp and develop your skills on two wheels. Drivers of cars have airbags, crumple zones, bumpers, tempered windshields, seat belts, and more to protect them out on the road. When you compare the safety features to driving a car to what we have on a motorcycle, they really don't compare. But this week we'll talk about one of the advantages that we do have over four-wheel vehicles, and if used correctly can make the difference between getting to work and having a really bad day. So what is this superpower that we have available as riders of the greatest means of transportation ever known to man? It's lane position. Using your lane position well provides two very important things. It gives you time and space for hazards, and I think more importantly, it can allow you to see further up the road and predict or see hazards before they become a real emergency. Cars are stuck in their lane position with few options, but motorcycles can move to the most advantageous position within the lane to give themselves a huge advantage. I rode with a fellow rider once I was following behind him, and he was stuck in position 1. So if you count from left to right, 1, 2, 3, he was always stuck over in that position 1, that number 1 position, the entire time we were riding. In fact, when we stopped to fuel up, I asked him if he was riding there because I was behind him, and he said no, he always rides there. Well, even in places on the road where he could have had a huge advantage by simply just moving over within the lane or moving back to the outside of the lane, he was stuck in that riding position 1, no matter what the road or what the situation was. And a lot of riders fail to use their lane position to their advantage. Riding directly behind other vehicles, riding in blind spots, or placing your motorcycle in traps on the road can quickly result in a crash. These crashes are often blamed on the car, and legally so, but in my opinion, the rider could have avoided many of these situations if they were just using good road strategy, which lane position is a part of. In a crash, there's legal liability and personal liability. A car that pulls in front of you is legally liable for the crash, but while they may be legally liable, who pays the ultimate cost for the crash? Who comes out on the short end of the stick? It's always a rider. It's you and it's me. If we have a crash with the car, we come out on the short end. That's why I always hope that cars around me are going to do the responsible thing, but I'm going to always try and put myself in the best possible position to avoid the crash in spite of their mistakes on the road. So let's hear from our member, John Linebarger, who faced a head-on collision with a car that obviously made a mistake on a divided roadway. John used his road skills to avoid the crash, but ultimately it was his road strategy that probably saved the day.
Hey there guys. So I wanted to make this video to share with you how basic motorcycle skills and good road strategy helped me survive a close call. So I was riding my bike to work the other day, and I turned off of the main state road onto a frontage road, and the frontage road there, it's 4 lanes with a median, so it's divided, and it makes kind of a big 180 degree, and then it straightens out, goes by the road. It's kind of like a big question mark, and along the right side of it, it's lined with trees, and since it's divided, this is not really the sort of place where, I'm necessarily on high alert. But it's a good thing I was paying attention that day, because even before I got to the apex of the turn, I was maybe a third of the way through it. There was a car coming straight at me. It was a pretty scary situation to be in. but I guess my being here means I did it right. The first thing I did was I rolled off my throttle and I straightened up the bike, and I tried to look for my escape route. In a lot of ways, it was just like the drill from the MSF basic course where you start around a turn and then you got to bail out of it and do an emergency brake. Well, that's basically what I did. I aimed for the car's right side, got as far over as I could, and we passed each other without incident. But even before it got to using those skills from the basic MSF course, it was road strategy that really put me in the position to be able to succeed. So it would have been easy to not be looking through the whole turn, or rather as far through the turn as I could. See, those trees tend to obscure it until you get past the apex and it starts to curve back the other way. And since it is 2 lanes going one way, I had a decision I needed to make, for a lane strategy. Where do I put my bike? Well, I put it all the way over to as far to the left as I could so that I could look as far through the turn as I could. And, it was probably that decision that gave me the time that I needed in order to be able to, get out of the way of that car. Now, as I've thought about this in the week since it's happened, I realize there's still some things I could have done better. For instance, when I first started my emergency brake, I panic braked. I reached out and I grabbed that front brake lever, and I pulled it hard, and my front brake started to skid. I guess it's lucky for me that I really grew up in a time where before ABS was standard on cars, and in a place where even when you had ABS, because there's snow on the ground, your wheels might start skidding anyway. So I knew that I had to let go of it immediately, which I did, and it kept the bike upright and kept me rolling and kept me steering out of the way. But I guess the thing that really had the biggest impact on me was that I haven't been riding for very long. I just completed my MSF basic course and got my endorsement at the beginning of August, and I haven't even put 1,500 miles on my bike. So I guess the cautionary tale here is that it can happen to anybody. It can happen at any time. And I think that putting in the effort as a new rider to learn these skills, to learn road strategy, getting to know the videos that are put up by some of these great YouTubers like Kevin over at MCrider. It's worth it. How do you put a price on your own safety? I mean, especially when it's only a matter of time that you have to invest, and it's only a matter of time before you'll need those skills. Well, thanks guys, and we'll see you out on the road.
So I know this isn't an exact replica of the situation that John faced, but it helps illustrate the point. As John was approaching this corner, he had 2 lanes to choose from and several positions within each lane to pick. As John approached the blind corner, he could have been in the far right position, and this would have been his line of sight through that corner. But using good road strategy, John positioned the motorcycle to the far outside of the left lane, and instead this was his view through the corner. As you can see, proper lane position gives a rider a huge advantage in situations like this and thousands of other scenarios out on the road. In this situation, the rider would be able to see the car a full car length ahead of the rider using bad lane position. And I know if I had an approaching car on the wrong side of the road, I'd want all the room I could get to avoid their mistake as well. And John, in this situation, was in the proper position. Another important thing to remember here is that road strategy has to become a part of who you are as a rider. It's not something you can turn on or off because you never know when you're going to need it. We don't get to choose when someone will do something stupid on the road, and John was in a relatively safe position on a divided roadway with cars going the same direction, or so he thought. But because he was using his lane position to his advantage, he was prepared to handle the car who had made a really bad mistake. Road strategy is as much an art form as it is a skill. You can study the principles of good road strategy, and I've got a lot of videos on that subject, but because every situation is different, there's rarely a rule that can be applied in every single situation on every single road in exactly the same way. For me, the two big principles to apply are how well can I see up the road and how can I put myself in a position to be seen on the road. As you apply these road strategies that help you see and be seen, they soon become a part of your everyday ride and are not something that you constantly have to think about. They just become a part of who you are as a rider, but you'll be much safer because of it. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road.